let's continue our conversation on Stoicism, going over the moral letters, Letters on Ethics by Lucius Annaeus Seneca. Okay, we have arrived at letter 20, and it's a long letter, so I will read you about the first page. From Seneca to Lucilius, greetings. I have seen Aufidius Bassus, a fine man, who has had a stroke and is wrestling with the advance of years. He is fighting still, but this is a hold he will never break, for age has pressed its great weight on him at every point. You know that he has always been scrawny and weak in body. He has held it together for a long time, or rather, to put it more accurately, has kept it going. But suddenly his strength has failed. It's like when a boat takes on water. You stop up one leak, then another, but once it begins to open up and give way at many places, there's no way to fix it. It's just a leaky vessel. So it is with an aging body. Stopgap measures can sustain it for a while, but when every joint is giving way like the seams of a dilapidated house, when you cannot take care of one thing without something else giving out in the meanwhile, then it is time to look around for the exit. Yet our friend Bassus is as lively as ever in his mind. Philosophy does this. It enables a person to be cheerful within sight of death, and brave and cheerful no matter what condition his body is in, not giving up just because the body is giving out. A great captain sails on, even with his canvas in tatters. Even if he has jettisoned the ship's equipment, he keeps the remnants of his vessel on course. That's what our Bassus is doing. He looks on his own end with such a calm expression that if he looked so on others, you would think him uncaring. It's a great thing, Lucilius, a lesson of many years, when the hour of no escape arrives, to depart in peace. Other ways of dying have an admixture of hope. An illness abates, a fire is extinguished, a collapsing building lowers to the ground the people it might have crushed. Those swallowed up by the sea have been cast out unharmed, just as forcibly as they were swept away. The soldier has withdrawn his sword from the very throat of the condemned, but he whom old age draws toward death has nothing to hope for. He alone cannot be rescued. It is the gentlest form of death, but also the slowest. One more. I just want to have one more section because I think it's very interesting what he says here. It seemed to me that our Bassus was attending his own funeral, laying out his body for burial, living on after himself, and bearing his loss, that is, the loss of himself, as a philosopher should. For he speaks much about death, and tries hard to convince us that if there is anything unpleasant or frightening in this business, it is the fault of the person dying and not of death itself, and that there is no more discomfort in the moment of death than there is afterward. A person would be crazy to fear something that's not going to happen to him, and it is equally crazy to fear something you won't feel. Or does anyone believe that he will feel death, when in fact it is through death that he ceases to feel anything else? For that reason, he says, death is so far removed from every evil that it is beyond every fear of evil. Another quickening letter by Seneca on death and dying. Dying, death, mortality are themes that feature quite heavily in the writing of the Roman Stoics. You see it in Marcus Aurelius a lot. He contemplates his end a lot. I don't know if it is because Seneca was not exactly getting younger while he was writing these letters, or if it was simply because death and the concept of dying is such a big deal, a big event in our lives, especially as we grow older, that he felt that need to write about it a lot. But when I was reading this, I thought that one of the very interesting aspects of this, there are a couple of aspects of this letter I found very interesting. One thing is that very important concept of Stoicism, or in Stoicism, of the indifference. It's something that I've brought up a number of times, but it is such a fundamental concept that I do think once in a while it's good to remind ourselves of it. An indifferent is a phenomenon that is in itself neither good nor bad, but that just is. And the idea here is that in Stoic ethics, and remember ethics, when you speak of ethics in ancient Greek philosophy, it's not exactly the same as how we use the term in this day and age. For the ancient Greek philosophers, ethics dealt really with how to lead a good life, how to live a good life. And I think lead a life is a Dutchism, I'm sorry about that. How to live a good life, right? So the most important thing in Stoic ethics is virtue. You have to do the right thing. But then there are indifference, preferred and dispreferred indifference. A preferred indifferent is something that is indifferent to virtue, but that all else being equal you would like to have. Say something like money. Money is neither good nor bad. It depends on how you use it. Therefore, it is a preferred indifferent. And if you have money, you can use it to do good things or bad things. If you have no money, you can still be a virtuous person. So in other words, it's indifferent to virtue. Something like illness, sickness, death, the process of dying, you could consider dispreferred indifference, because all else being equal, we would rather not be sick. I assume that most of us would rather not be dying, but it's going to happen one day. So all else being equal, you would rather avoid that thing, but it's indifferent, because even when you are sick, you can still do the right thing, can still be a virtuous person. And obviously this may be easier said than done, depending on what exactly you suffer from, right? But Seneca takes a very indifferent, in the context I just used, indifferent approach to death. It's just a thing. It's something you can't avoid. And if you can't avoid it, why be so scared of it? I like this line that he has of, a person would be crazy to fear something that's not going to happen to him, and it is equally crazy to fear something you won't feel. Or does anyone believe that he will feel death, when in fact it is through death that he ceases to feel anything else? Now, of course, I suppose nobody can really tell us what exactly it's like, but I mean, even if you have a painful death, imagine you'd be electrocuted because you accidentally touch a wrong wire somewhere and you electrocute. I'm sure that hurts, and then the process of death would not exactly be painless. But after that's it though. Your heart has stopped, your brain has stopped processing any signal. So that's it, right? At that point, all that sensation ends, and then depending on whether you believe in an afterlife, etc. But that's not necessarily what I was getting into right now. So that's a very interesting approach, again, looking at death as an indifferent. You can still do the right thing while you can. You can still do the right thing now. And that, I think, is one of the very important lessons from Stoicism. You do not know when death will come. And to some people, that's very scary. How could it not be? If you haven't really thought about that, or if you're really frightened of what may happen, how could it not be scary? But for all we know, we will go to bed tonight and we won't wake up in the morning. Or maybe we drive to work tomorrow morning and we get in an accident and we don't make it out of that alive, or whatever, right? I think once we accept that as an undeniable fact, which it is, at any moment it could be your last. Any moment could be your last. Then understand what you can do. You may not be able to control when or how you die, but you can control right now, be a virtuous person, to do the right thing, to do the proper thing, to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And there is no reason, in fact, there is no time to put that off. You can't put it off, because you may not wake up tomorrow. So what time is there to lose? And why do you wait? Right? This brings us back to the very often quoted little passage from Marcus Aurelius. Stop talking about what it means to be a good man. Be one. And I think that fits in very nicely to what Seneca is writing here. I also kind of liked the image, the sort of metaphor that he uses of the approach of death as a leaky boat. You patch up one thing and a physical ailment, and you patch it up, and then something else breaks down, and then you patch that up, and something else breaks down, and it's a very, in my mind, a very interesting way to look at things. You can try to put off the inevitable, but it is inevitable. It will happen all the same. And I will end by saying that while I fully understand that for some people, many people, that is a very scary thought, you can turn that around by thinking, well, then I must make the most of the time that I have here. Why wait? Why wait to make it up with that friend? Why wait to do the right thing? Why wait to be that best version of yourself that you can be? Why wait to improve yourself just that little bit? Why wait to stop smoking or whatever it is habit you're trying to break? Why wait? Why say tomorrow I will, etc.? You're not sure of tomorrow, but you are absolutely certain of you being here right now. And that means that you can make a difference, that you can try to be the best version of yourself before there are so many things to patch up that they can't be patched up anymore. And then your time has run out, and then it may be too late. And right now it's not too late, so do it now. That's what I have. I hope this was useful. Thank you for watching. I will gladly see you again next week for more talk about Stoicism. Bye-bye.